just somebody longing for someone to hold me. It could be anybody, but you.
Can I get out? I want to get out.
You chose me somehow.
How many more courts?
Now
I've already done my pre-dusting, right? And the routine is to like wash the cars at one place and then go to another place because they have better amenities. Like the vacuums are better. They have cloths with spray. And what else? Why else do we go there? Oh, the music be jumping. Is that gum? Oh my gosh. Hey, we don't be alright. If you don't me, we don't be alright. Yo, these my potato chips back here. Oh, this fast. You like having a fun on the weekend. It's hot. Oh, the foliage is foliaging. Look at that.
and I'm so happy.
It's so crunchy.
I'll have each of you the entire cup. Come on, bro.
I had every intention of vlogging today, but as soon as I woke up, I was presented with an actual emergency in real life and have quite honestly just been derailed ever since that. So I'm not going to be vlogging for today, but I did want to come in here because I had been cooking up an experiment. These almonds were sitting in the fridge for 2 days, and now I need to rinse and strain them so I can make this milk. I feel like that's regular consistency of almond milk. Maybe slightly thicker, I'm not sure. And then this right here is the almond meal. Let's see if you can see that. That's the almond meal. I kind of want to figure out what to do with this though, because if I decide that I want to make almond milk frequently, I want to see if I can find ways to use the discard. So something else for another day. I put it in there for as long as I usually put my almond milk, but this is what happened. This cannot be good. Did it curdle? What the heck is this? Let me look this up online somewhere because this does not look right to me. Apparently, due to the protein or something in homemade almond milk, it is prone to curdling. And I just threw it in there like I throw in my regular almond milk, which is a no-no. I should have done less time. So it's been like a minute or two and the curdling has calmed down some. It still looks like gross. But what I'm gonna do is restrain it and see if that makes it drinkable. The side of this weck jar looks like remnants of a sourdough starter, but I promise this is almond milk. And I definitely lost some volume, so it's slightly thicker. So I'm wondering if I have really just made extra creamy almond milk or something very reminiscent to an almond milk creamer. I don't know, but I'm definitely about to taste this before I pour it into my tea, because if it's gross, Girl, we just gonna use Simple Truth. That's actually good. Okay, yeah, it is a little bit thick. And there's like this slight, I don't know, slight aftertaste or something. And again, that could just be because I made my almond milk too hot. But I want to see, now that it's cooled off some, will it froth? It's doing something. I need to replace the battery in my frother, but I'm seeing a light little foam come up. So this is extremely promising. This is basically a variation of golden milk because I'm using these organic ginger and turmeric tea bags, but on the back, that is not all that's in here. It is, there's apples, ginger root, lemongrass, turmeric, hibiscus, beetroot, cardamom, and nutmeg. I had no idea. I literally thought it was just ginger and turmeric. Okay, I'm not gonna hold you. Flop or not, this is actually cute. I guess this is just what happens when you don't know what you're doing, which is fine because I learned something today. Homemade almond milk is a little sensitive, okay? I like that. I like that. Next time I make this specific combination, I will put in just a little bit more maple syrup. But that's good. That's a really nice, warm, and cozy drink. All right, rah, we did a thing. All right, see you later. I think it's fall now. Dandelions.
She is doing better with young voters in Georgia than Joe Biden was doing against Trump 4 years ago.
Goat meat. Goat meat.
I just want jalapeno chips.
The arrest, if I mean more than that.
Can you shut it down?
I left the house with wet hair. When it tucked it underneath my hat, damn near broke off a braid.
Hey Munchkins! Now, there was absolutely no way that I was about to end this vlog with any remnants of the sunken place going on. Not a chance, okay? But before I get into the way that I've actually decided to end the vlog, I just wanted to do a little check-in between you and I, reach my hands and my arms out to you and pull you in close for a hug, because if you are anything like me and found the beginning of November to be sad, distressing, overwhelming, all of the things, I feel you. It is so tiring. But all the while, I sincerely hope that you've since found a way to migrate through it. You know what I mean? And if you haven't, maybe this next segment is for you because we're about to talk about books. What I have off to the side right now are all of the books that I have read since the last time we've done a TBR or what I've been reading lately update, with the exception of audiobooks. But I have my Libby account here, and I'm also going to go through those. So right now, I have gone through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 books since the last time we've talked about books. I know, I literally cannot believe it myself, but I love it here. First book I'm going to talk about is The Silent Patient. I read this one over the summer at the beach, and oh my gosh, this book was wild and crazy. There really isn't, I hate to be like this, but I also don't feel like there's very much I can say about this book without giving it away, because this book relies on you knowing absolutely nothing and just waiting for things to pop off. And this camera is doing this weird thing again because the lighting is fading. Hold, please. I'm going to bring you in a little bit closer. What I can tell you is that this book is about a famous artist. She's married, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, she offs her husband. Okay? And after she does that, she lands herself in a crazy hospital for, I think, like 5 or 6 years. And then there is this psychologist who is just super obsessed with her story and trying to figure out why she did what she did, because something else that happened is after she decided to do that to her husband, she basically took an oath of silence. Like, the girl is giving no words at all to nobody, never. And so the psychologist is super curious, like, maybe I'm the one to get the girl to crack so she can tell me what led her to do what she did. And that is, quite frankly, all I am allowed to say here, because again, if I say anything else, I'm basically getting into the nitty gritty of what happens. But what I can tell you is that when stuff pops off, baby, grab your pearls. I don't know if this actually helped at all. I turned on 2 other lights, but it's also daylight saving, so daylight is fading fast. Okay, but we are going to forge ahead. All right. So the next 4 books that I read are from the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. Now, as a note and reminder, I am not reading these books in the order that they were published. I am reading them in the order that Sarah J. Maas preferred, because I think the 3rd book in this series, which is Assassin's Blade, according to my list, is a prequel. So there are some people who have read this series that read that first and then followed it with all the rest of them. I, again, am reading it based on how Sarah J. Maas preferred, and so far, I do not feel like I have taken any L's, okay? It actually made the other book more exciting, which we'll get to in a minute. Now, if you struggled to get through the first book, Throne of Glass, and you're undecided on whether or not you want to continue the series, this is the book that's going to make you want to continue the series. I gave this a 5 out of 5, period, because stuff pops off in this book. This is where things really get to cooking, okay? Because again, she's won the competition, so she's officially the king's assassin, and she's dealing with all the rigmarole there, but she's also trying to navigate forming friendships. There's a little sprinkle of a romance in here. Magic has also officially entered the chat, so there's some of that in there, and it's just so good. It is quite the page turner, if you ask me. There are just things popping off left and right, and the ending, oh, ciao, the ending. Okay, moving on. Assassin's Blade is the one that I read next. Now, from here on out, for whatever reason, I decided to actually write notes in my Goodreads account. So what I'm going to do is read those notes to you. But off the top of my head, what I remember about this book is that I really enjoyed it because this book is basically a series of short stories, which is probably why it was the prequel to everything else. But the short stories explain a lot, okay? It fills in some holes from the first 2 books and just further expands on some things and answers quite a few questions along the way. What I wrote in my Goodreads was, when I finished this book, I was immediately glad I read it in the order Sarah J. Maas preferred. No doubt I would have spoiled a good bit of things had I read it first. Okay? Really enjoyed how this was broken up into short stories. Learning more about Selena during what feels like core memory times in her life was very cool. Enough said. Fantastic series of short stories, okay? Moving right along into Heir of Fire. Again, we're going to resort to the notes because, baby, I read this book back in September. It says, I don't think I was fully invested until maybe halfway through this one. Lots and lots of world building, but I was also getting really impatient waiting for Ish to pop off. That would be correct. The ending did shatter my soul though. Ruthless AF and 100% not on my bingo card. Love the addition of new characters and how Selena seems to be growing up. Of course, not without kicking and screaming. LMAO at Kitty Cat Friend. Yo. Also, the bit about juggling multiple storylines at once. Very nice touch, although I wanted more from Manon's point of view. Her story got really interesting. Yeah, and we're just gonna move on, because if you have not read Crown of Midnight, I don't want to be giving anything away that's going on in all the other books. So the next one I read
was Queen of Shadows, which is the fifth book in the series for me. And according to my account, again, my review here, it's another 5 stars. I got through this book in 2 days. 2 days. And my review says, is this my favorite book from the series so far? I think so. It didn't miss a beat from the first pages to the last. So many things went down and it was written so beautifully. Again, with the multiple POV. Really good way to break up slower parts of individual stories, which I still agree with, because there are some storylines in here following some characters that are just slower than the rest. And it's a really nice switch up when you're reading one of their storylines to go to somebody who's moving a little bit faster and has a little bit more going on. It gives interest without boring you to death and making you want to put the book down because the person's story that you're currently reading is boring. This one was so exciting. I finished the book in 2 days. Feels like it could have been the end right here. It's giving happily ever after vibes, even though there's a war to get through still. Kale was working my nerves. Lysandra, what happened with Arobin? Chef's kiss. Can someone do a wellness check on Dorian? Manon standing on her own 2 feet. This book was amazing. Happy that the romance didn't feel like the arc of the story. Everything else that was happening was so much better than that. And I'm going to stick beside my review. This book was so much more than the romantic interests that are going on here because everybody else's stories were so incredibly good. The lighting is so bad. I can't. I mean, I don't know why I did not consider this lighting setup before I sat down here and went through all of these books, basically in the dark. But here we are. We just gonna keep it moving forward, okay? So after I finished Queen of Shadows, I thought that I should take a break, okay? Because if you have not noticed, these books are thicky McThickums, and I had read 4 of them back to back. And I was just like, girl, give it a rest. So the rough plan was for October to take a break from the Throne of Glass series, do a little bit of audiobooking, if you will, maybe pick up another small book that I could get through in maybe like 2 weeks, and then jump back into the series in November. That is exactly what did not happen, okay? I still have the last 3 books in the series that need to get read. So those books are Empire of Storms, Tower of Dawn, and Kingdom of Ash. Now, what I have done was I've been on Reddit looking around, and the consensus is the Tower of Dawn book is quite a rough book to get through, as in it's dry, it's crispy, and nobody cares. However, people have figured out a way to read that book and the book following, which is Empire of Storms, in tandem, meaning reading 2 books at the same time. Because another little sprinkle of information, apparently Tower of Dawn and Empire of Storms take place over the same period. It's just from 2 different point of views. So reading in tandem is actually not the worst idea. So that is the route that I'm going to take, because the way that people were describing Tower of Dawn, it was giving the second Crescent City book, which, yes, it is still on that bookshelf and I will never read it. And because the series was so good already, I didn't want to set myself up for a book that was going to be dry and crispy and was going to take me like 2 months to get through because I didn't want to read it. So that is the plan. I'm going to be starting Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn, and I'm going to read them in tandem, hoping I can get that read by maybe the end of December so that in January I can read the last book, which is Kingdom of Ash. And also at the end of January, the 3rd book from the 4th Wing series comes out. So if I time it right, I'm going to have 2 fantastic books that I'm going to be reading in the month of January. So that's enough of the Throne of Glass series. We are going to migrate on to my audio book journey, if you will. I have read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or listened to 5 books in the Bridgerton series. All right, the first book in that series is called The Duke and I, and that is Daphne's story. I don't have any notes here, really, because this book was not a huge departure from the Bridgerton series on Netflix. And because I've seen that series, I was also able to put faces with names as the story was going along. So I don't think I really gained anything by listening to this book, but I don't feel like I lost anything either.
The next one that I listened to was The Viscount Who Loved Me, which is Anthony and Kate's story. And again, here, I basically have no notes either. The same issue was occurring where I felt like I had already knew the story. So I think I might have just been listening in passing. And I feel like once I got to the end of this one, I think I either gave it like a 3 out of 5 stars or a 4 out of 5 stars. And I think that's just because maybe I was a little bit bored because I'd already been exposed to the visuals. So I don't know, but I mean, I would still recommend listening to it, but also I wouldn't be surprised or shocked if it was one of those audiobooks that you just listened to in passing and didn't feel like you had to hang on every word. Now, here is where my audiobook journey got a little bit interesting. I did not know that there was like another side of the series versus just the love stories with the kids, because I ended up listening to a book called The Other Miss Bridgerton, which is a book about Poppy Bridgerton. I don't believe none of the kids' names are Poppy because P is way after Violet stopped having children. So I think this girl is one of their aunts or something. Anyway, it's a Bridgerton prequel that I somehow got wrapped up in. The story was good though. That was a fun listen. And first and foremost, it was a fun listen because I had no idea who these people were. I didn't have any faces that I could pair with the names, and the story was really fun. Although I will say the way that they got together was very suspicious. It was very, very suspicious. I don't want to give it away in case you have not read it already, but it's not ideal, okay? But the ending was very, very nice. I really enjoyed that story. Then I followed it up with An Offer from a Gentleman, which is Benedict's story. And I am really looking forward to when this story comes to life. This one and the one after next, I am really looking forward to it because this story was so, so good. And I found myself like, if I was multitasking and I feel like I missed something, this was one of the stories where I made sure that I rewound it and re-listened to make sure that I wasn't missing anything. The next story that I listened to was Romancing Mr. Bridgerton, which was Penelope and Colin's story. This one was fun. I think this was the first book out of the 3 that have already been released as Netflix series where I was really, really interested in what was going on. I really enjoyed the dynamic between Penelope and Colin. And also, like, I don't feel like there was ever anything mentioned in the Netflix series about how snacky Colin is. And it is quite hysterical because throughout some of these other books, they are constantly making reference to how much of a hungry Harry Colin is, but I don't feel like they made a big deal out of that in the Netflix series. I also felt like listening to this book, I got to hear more about how Penelope's role as Lady Whistledown really helped her family out. I don't recall Netflix touching on that much, if at all. I also feel like the discussion between Penelope and Colin about her role as Lady Whistledown was explored further in the audiobook than it was on the Netflix series. And then, okay, the one that I'm listening to now is To Sir Philip with Love, which is Eloise's story. And I'm about 47% of the way through with this book. Yo, this book has been so fun and so funny to listen to. Eloise's story is such a freaking hoot. I am not going to say a single thing about it other than that because I think it's something that you need to either read or listen to 100% before the Netflix series comes out, because it's just like this specific person and the situation that she has found herself in is definitely giving her a run for her money in the best way possible. And I am so excited to finish listening to this book. It's due in 5 days. I'm 47% through. I think I'm going to end up renewing it for at least another 5 days after that because I just don't see myself being able to finish it in the next few days. But with all that being said, those are all of the books that I have either read or listened to since we last checked in. And I guess you can say my official end of year 2024 TBR is the end of the Throne of Glass series, because judging by the thickness of those books, which I might as well just get them. Okay, so I only have these two. I'm going to need to order the last one, but hello. Hello again. So yeah, judging by how thick these books are, like 655 pages, good night. And this one is 685. Yeah. So I think that's going to be enough to keep me busy for the rest of the year as far as reading goes. As far as audiobooks, you know, since I'm listening to those audiobooks when I'm doing other tasks, like if I'm meal prepping, washing dishes, cleaning up, doing my hair and stuff like that, I think I may be able to squeeze in another book or two before the end of the year, which would be, I'm not even going to hold you. I have no idea what books are after this. I usually have to look at the Bridgerton series and make sure that the next book that I'm requesting on hold is the correct one, because I don't want to accidentally request a book that's in that prequel series, because then I'm just going to be thrown off. But even so, I'm thinking that I'm definitely going to be able to finish this one and maybe two more before the end of the year. But if I do, we'll talk about that when January comes. So I think that's it. I think we've gone through everything. Hopefully I didn't miss anything, but if I did, I will spin the block and I will come back and let you know. But with that being said, I also think that this is a fantastic place for us to end the vlog today. So thank you so very much for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed the vlog, and I will catch you in the next one.